In the past few hours, American forces have carried out missile strikes launched from bases in Arab countries in the region, targeting military and infrastructure sites in Iran. The Iranian facilities were hit directly in successive waves of precision strikes. Iran reacted with fury, and its authorities threatened to mobilize their allies in western Yemen to close the Bab al-Mandeb Strait if offensive actions continued. The pressure increased rapidly. Meanwhile, in Yemen itself, Saudi Arabia intensified its recent actions. On July 13th, for example, Saudi forces attacked the runway at Sana'a airport to prevent an Iranian aircraft from landing. The Houthis responded with missiles against Saudi territory. These were the first direct attacks since the beginning of the informal truce in March 2022. The 4-year truce was broken. The Saudi escalation in Yemen, combined with Iranian fury over the offensive against its territory, created the conditions for a response from the Houthis. It was then that on Monday morning, the Houthis announced a naval blockade against Saudi Arabia as retaliation for the blockade by the United Kingdom based on land, sea, and air restrictions on Yemeni ports and airports, as well as the exploitation of the country's resources. The statement from the spokesperson for the Houthi armed forces, Yari Sari, was clear. The maritime embargo against Saudi Arabia is effective from the moment of this broadcast, and it will impact navigation in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, a critical point that connects the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. Ships leaving the Saudi port of Yanbu, where Saudi Arabia redirected a significant portion of its oil exports after problems in the Strait of Hormuz, need to pass through the region. That east-west oil pipeline carries crude oil from the Gulf fields to the port of Yanbu on the coast of the Red Sea. With a peak capacity of 5 to 7 million barrels per day, this route has become vital for Saudi Arabia in recent months. An effective blockade at Bab al-Mandeb directly affects this alternative. The Houthis had already demonstrated a wide range of capabilities in this region. In recent years, the group has used anti-ship ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, and fast boats to target merchant ships. They control or influence stretches of the Yemeni coast that provide direct access to the strait. This is not an idle threat or a bluff. The geography favors close-range attacks and surprise moves, and the Saudi or coalition naval response faces logistical challenges in restricted waters. Here is where an important difference comes in compared to other conflicts. The war involving Iran does not operate as a single centralized chain of command. Iran is a decentralized system on several levels, with different factions within the regime itself, regional commanders with relative autonomy, and allied groups that operate with varying degrees of independence. The Houthis are supported by Iran, but they are not a direct extension of Tehran under real-time control. They make decisions based on their own local priorities, their history of conflict with Saudi Arabia, and the internal dynamics of Yemen. Even if Iran wanted to modulate the escalation, it couldn't always do so. It can't always dictate the pace of its allies on the ground. If you want to watch this full video and get exclusive content that's not available to the public, become a channel member by simply clicking this Join button. The declaration of a specific blockade against Saudi Arabia, and not against all ships from other nations, shows this particular logic. The Houthis are directly targeting Saudi exports and oil that pass through Yanbu. This immediate economic threat puts millions of barrels per day at risk, adding pressure to oil prices, which were already high due to tensions in Hormuz and regional disruptions. But it's worth noting that this impact is not limited to Saudi Arabia. Global trade routes between Asia and Europe, which depend on the Red Sea, are facing a new source of instability. Saudi Arabia has not responded yet. It has not given a detailed public response up to the moment of the official statement from the Houthis. Historically, Riyadh has responded to Houthi attacks with air operations and support for ground forces in Yemen. Any response now takes place in a broader environment, with increased American presence in the region, ongoing tensions with Iran, and sensitive energy markets. The situation creates additional tension. The blockade is being presented as permanent for as long as the conditions that prompted it persist. The Houthis stated that they are fully prepared for escalation and national mobilization. The geography of the strait allows for effective asymmetric actions, such as attacks on specific ships, mines, drones, or anti-ship missiles launched from the coast or from small boats. Defending such a narrow corridor requires significant resources and constant coordination. And what does that mean for the current conflict in the Persian Gulf? The more direct involvement of the Houthis in this chapter of the conflict adds an active maritime front in the Red Sea, targeting one of the world's main oil exporters. Saudi Arabia loses some of the flexibility it gained by using the Yanbu route as an alternative to Hormuz. The risk of disruption in the energy flow will only increase from now on. He also notes that the decentralized nature of Iranian and allied forces makes escalation less predictable. Local actions may proceed even when central interests suggest moderation between the parties. Become a member to watch this full video and receive other member-exclusive content. Just click the join button. New developments arise very quickly in this unstable environment of the Persian Gulf. So subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos.